Welcome to another episode of The Read Pile. This episode will be more spoilery than my usual vagueness and hand-waving. This book is from 14 years ago, and I think more people have read superhero comics than they have independent stuff, so I also have more to say, I think, about this. But before I get into the book itself, I'm going to give a little bit of a preamble, which is that I never read Fantastic Four growing up unless they cameoed in something else that I was reading. So whether that was The Thing, giving a lecture to New Warriors, or Reed and a sonic gun versus symbiotes, I didn't care. I didn't read the Fantastic Four. I didn't actually get into the Fantastic Four until Hickman started reading, and I got into Hickman because I read the Nightly News, which I think is great. This volume in particular, his run comes on the back of Civil War and Secret Invasion. So it actually starts with a Dark Reign miniseries. Dark Reign was kind of a highlight of Bendis' run, in my opinion. Dark Avengers in particular, but we've got, what is that, about 14 issues here. So, as I said, I'm going to get into spoilers now. The one I will say before you skip away, is I think this is great. One more thing. So about these costumes, I know Fantastic Four fans have their own favorites. I kind of like and kind of dislike the short sleeves. Here, I think it looks nice on Sue. As soon as he starts stretching, I think it looks weird. And basically, over the course of reading this, what I think I settled on is if they're at home, if they're casual, short sleeves look good. If they're out doing superheroic things, I don't want to see skin. Just long sleeves, please. I think that's mostly Volume 1. I think by Volume 2, they might have... Well, they do change costumes, but we'll get into that. Alright, so, to start. And it starts with Reed building a machine. Here he is building. See there, the title, the bridge, then is the name of what he builds. And it allows him... Awesome. Hasbro just put up pre-orders, well, a couple of weeks ago by this point, pre-orders for a Franklin and Valeria figure sets, and this is the age that I sort of think of them as. I have read some of the more recent stuff where they are older, and that's fine. I did think it was weird that Franklin was like the Weird's oldest toddler, just because, I mean, he's been around for a long time and they never allowed him to age, which is weird. So, even though this is my mental image, I'm also okay with them being older. It's just, I won't be buying those toys. So as I said, this is following on Secret Invasion specifically. This is immediately after Secret Invasion. The Fantastic Four are moving back into the Baxter Building. You can see there, long sleeves on Reed. He's building a machine in order to figure out if there were alternate options to the events that unfolded during Civil War and Secret Invasion, and a little bit of Illuminati as well. He mentions those three events, the Illuminati, Secret War, Civil War, Secret Invasion. Secret War is different. That those events have happened in the last year. He builds this machine to look into the multiverse to see where something similar has happened and how they handled it, and he comes away with some opinions. But he goes into the machine and something doesn't go right. There, Hammer, Osborn's Hammer, is trying to get into the Baxter Building. What happens though is he winds up in the machine and the rest of the adults wind up traipsing through the multiverse for a few issues, which is fun in its own right. I'll stop on some other highlights as we go through. But Osborn and Hammer are trying to get into the building. It's just the kids left to stop him, and it leads to some truly just fantastic scenes. These are some of the alternate universes in which things regarding Civil War Secret Invasion were handled differently, and this is pretty interesting. I enjoyed his glimpse into the multiverse, and there is an example of what Johnny, Sue, and Ben have been up to. And this is an even better one. This is great. Here's just another, frankly, amazing Franklin scene as Osborn is entering the building. Next issue starts that way. And then here we have even more of Valeria just giving a hard time to Osborn. I love it. Reed, as a result of looking into the multiverse, realizes that he is obviously smart, but importantly, for too long I have hidden behind false humility, and as a result ran from the things I was supposed to do. I'm the most brilliant man in the known universe. My mind is a gift, and when problems present themselves, it falls to me. I have a responsibility to solve them. This is crucial to what is about to happen. Here, and now the time has come to fix it. So he powers the machine off. It saves his family, and then they have this moment. Where are the kids? So the kids have been on their own, I think, for a couple of days, at least overnight. There they are, and Sue is having none of it. But there, see, he's in long sleeves. His arms look much better. She's in short sleeves. I'm kind of okay with it. Then this happens. So we've got new issue here, but we've got this standoff happening. Sue is, as I said, having none of it, and Osborn is kind of an idiot. Says, "Make me," holding a gun to the Fantastic Four. Now, what's amazing and what should be telling for things that are about to come is we get this standoff. He pulls the gun again. A gun goes off, and it's actually Norman that gets shot by Franklin. You can see his pistol there smoking, even though it's a toy gun. And that should be telling. One last thing, before Reed turned off the machine, he asked how many other Reeds, how many other universes did someone like him build a machine like the bridge? And he gets the results of 141. After he explains to Sue what happened and how he had endangered his family, she asks him to destroy it. He says, "What?" And we get a standoff. But he does say, "I promise." And he does actually take it apart. He fulfills, well, he doesn't destroy it, but he does take it apart. But before doing so, he uses it one last time and he runs into these crew. Who they are, I'll get to in a moment, but he sees them, and curiosity gets the better of him. He rebuilds the machine somewhere else without telling Sue. That sets up plenty of things to come. So that is the end of the first 5 issues. We then get into Fantastic Four proper. That's not true. First there is this, I think it's 8-page focused on Doom. Doom will become important as well. Then we get into Fantastic Four, solve everything, which is a phrase that's going to come up. And it starts with this, which is also pretty telling. The thing with this volume is a lot of what's to come is, the building blocks are set here. Hickman is building this thing piece by piece toward Battleworld, toward that Doom secret war. It's simply amazing. Knowing what's to come and then going back and seeing how just foundationally everything gets laid, it's pretty spectacular. So it starts here with a father and a son. This is going to be a recurring theme, but we get Nathaniel here, and I might save that for volume 2. I have comments about Nathaniel. There is another foundational piece. It is the Fantastic Four versus Wizard. He's behind these machines, seen here, but Wizard, and he has cloned himself One of them is this kid here, which is great. More setup for things to come. I do like the way Reed is drawn with the 5 o'clock shadow. He does seem like someone who just would forget to shave. So I like this look, even if it's not sort of classic. Here Franklin is asking about the cloned kid. Reed does tell him about the fight with the wizard. So here is Franklin asking about him. Reed gives sort of a long speech, and Franklin ends with, "You're going to help him," which is true. Reed then goes back to the machine. He can't escape it. And he wants more information. And these guys pop out. Alternate Reeds. There's actually a council of Reeds seen here. I would honestly still like a series, at least a couple of Reeds for my toy shelf. This is one of the main Reeds. There's another main one. Those are 3 big Reeds there, but this guy in the center is another one that we'll be seeing for some time. So our Reed hangs out with Reeds from other universes, and he's trying to solve everything is what he's trying to do, but he hangs out with them for about a week. It's, I think, here at breakfast where Sue's talking about how Reed isn't around that much, and Reed asks for a week. So he wants to spend more time with the other Reeds, looking at other universes, how they've solved things, what they've done. And here this particular Reed is talking about how he has cultivated worlds in order to feed the hungry. Then see what the Reeds have done to their versions of Dr. Doom, and it's not great. And then again, we see just the scale that they're working on, and here they're doing surgery on a sun. They've made themselves quite large. Those are planets. That's clearly a sun, and they are, as I said, essentially performing surgery to fix the sun. So by this point, it is day 4. By day 6, Reed has made a decision. He decides to join. There is rejoicing until Celestials. Celestials attack the Council of Reeds. Multiple Reeds die. Reed actually goes home, grabs some weaponry, comes back, and together they help after a very close call there. But he comes back, helps fight off the Celestials. We get this scene here, which is also important. This is where our Reed finds out that none of the other Reeds on the council have anything else going on in their life. The friends and family have been abandoned in order to pursue this solve everything idea. And he is not okay with that. He decides at that point to leave. We get, I skipped one of them, but we get another scene of Reed with his father. Reed emerges, Sue's outside. What I skipped over was there is a scene in here of Sue coming down to the room that Reed has sequestered himself inside. She's giving a speech. This is as he is returning to the council with weaponry. This is pretty amazing. This is one of those foundational moments where I'm really into the relationship between Sue and Reed as written by Hickman. It is, I think, a well-functioning family full of disagreements, but that get resolved. With that behind us, we then get into, I guess, the 4 cities start. And so New World, we jump to New World, which is a Miller creation. I brushed up on this while doing the Galactus review, but in the previous arc, Ben and Johnny had decided to go on a vacation to New World. The kids wound up stowing along, and things have not gone well on New World. So they wind up actually in kind of a war, and though it's not clear at the time, this is the beginning of many things to come, or the next step along in many things to come. Can't tell yet because they haven't really introduced him, but this here is the clone of the wizard, and Sue tries to bring him a slice of cake. This scene is also pretty great. So they're just calling him Bentley because that is the wizard's name. He is sort of asserting that his name is 32, that he hasn't earned the name Bentley yet, and we get here that he is staying with them. Also that he's kind of a bit much to deal with. At this birthday party, things go wrong, so here building security is going off. We're introduced to this guy, who we will see a couple of times, but at this point he is Mystery Man. Mystery Man says something to Franklin, and then he goes into Valeria's room, where he says some more. Gives her a warning. Mentions a few things, for instance, 4 cities. And all hope lies in doom. So thankfully we don't have to wait long to figure out what was said to Franklin, but this is more. This is sort of an acceleration of what was set up during that Dark Reign issue, that standoff with Osborn. We then get Moloids and Mole Man. This is more just incrementally adding to a lot of things that are going to come. Look how disgusting he looks. Oof, I love it. This, honestly, severed head here is talking about a city that the High Evolutionary has built, what it does, and they are going down to it because it's causing problems elsewhere. And on that journey they come across Dead Galactus. Dead Galactus and New World are interconnected. They are from Mark Millar's run on Fantastic Four. And this will also come back up again. So they go down, they deal with the city, and the city has risen to the surface. You also get this, which is, it will later be revealed that Valeria is writing this, but it sort of gives a bit of recap and next, what happens next. And these are informative to read as well. We then start the next issue with Sue giving a presentation to Ben and Johnny about a new problem, A.M.E.R. in particular, and something going on under the ocean. What that something is actually a civilization under the sea. This has been separate from the rest of the world's oceans for, I think, hundreds of thousands of years. And so they have a very different, name-or-less society. I don't understand how these translator things get inside of their helmets. So Thing has one just attached to his head, I thought. Yeah, Things is on the outside of his helmet. The rest have it on the inside. I don't understand how that happened. I'll just skip over that part. But anyway, this civilization is asking, they want to deal with the outside world. They ask for a representative to represent the world that they can deal with directly, and Sue volunteers. So Sue is now an ambassador for these people, for these people, to the rest of the world. We then get an issue focused on the Inhumans, and what I didn't realize when I was reading this until volume 2, actually, there is another moment that's also volume 2. This is in the lead up to War of the Kings. So it was Black Bolt versus Vulcan, which led to the Fault and the Rift, the Cancerverse, all of that cosmic stuff. That was a great Guardians of the Galaxy miniseries. I have that somewhere around here as well. It's moments like this where, I don't know, it certainly jogs the memory, but it's sort of like world history where you're trying to put events into context of events that are around it. And so the Fantastic Four is not in isolation, even if it feels like they are. And one of the problems I have with the Marvel Universe in general is that there's so much concentration happening in New York, but I think Hickman's run, and I think there's another event in Volume 2 that I'll point out, Hickman's run sort of explains away how the Fantastic Four are dealing with their own thing while the rest of New York is happening around them. So they are very busy, occupied, dealing with things that only they can, and I still think that the concentration of superheroes are too heavy in New York, and you'd be an idiot to be a villain in that city. Just go somewhere else. Go anywhere, literally anywhere else. But we get this look at the Inhumans, what they are up to. We get the Watcher showing up. That's not the only time that the Watcher will show up, and what is going on with them. So they then, from the ocean, wind up traveling to the moon. They run into an Inhuman. He starts to give an account of what has happened, and now we meet this group of people. Here it establishes that the Inhumans were not, again, in isolation, that slightly different versions of the process that create Inhumans were done on other worlds, and we wind up with these universal Inhumans. So instead of Terrigenesis, they have their own process, but we get these 4 species that have arrived on the moon and await Black Bolt. You can see there, Black Bolt symbol. This is also talking about the Inhumans are awaiting Black Bolt's return. So he has left. He's taking over the Kree, I guess. I thought it was weird at the time. Vulcan, meanwhile, has taken over the H.A.M.M.E.R, and they are leading to a fight. One of them will, well, both of them really die, even though neither one of them actually dies. But they are awaiting Black Bolt's return, and they say that they are going to move their new population somewhere else, and that happens to be Earth. We then get a night of Johnny on the town. He runs into these people, and we'll find out who they are exactly in just a few pages, because this emerges from the girl that Johnny had picked up. So at this point they are inside of the Baxter Building. A gate is opened to the negative zone, and he cleans up his mess. There, another amazing panel of Valeria. And here Valeria makes a comment. Well, Johnny first makes a comment. They've expanded the negative zone prison into a city, and Valeria here makes a comment. That makes 4. If you've been paying attention, that is the 4 cities that they have, well, the 3 cities that they've recently visited, and now the negative zone. This is a great scene. There aren't many of these, but I think they are all great when they happen. There will be another Reed and Ben scene in a future volume. But this is just a quiet conversation between Reed and Johnny regarding what happened, him bringing a girl into the building, the sort of lacks of security, and then instead of Johnny telling anyone about it, he tries to deal with it himself, and he says, that's not okay. But the question here is posed, what is it you stand for? That will come back up. And that is the end of Volume 1. I think this is going to be a long video, but there's a lot to dig into here. And as I said, a lot of this is foundational for things that are going to come. They need to be discussed here so that they can be discussed later as well. I really enjoyed this series at the time. When I saw that these were being collected, I grabbed these somewhat so that I could reread them. I wasn't sure that I had read all of it the first time through, and there's an issue in Volume 2 that I don't remember at all, so that sort of confirms that maybe I didn't read them. But I wanted to revisit this series, a series that I thoroughly enjoyed, that I thought was spectacular, that I still think is. So I do recommend this. They should be pretty widely available. They are on the more expensive side, but it is 14, 15 issues, so I don't know. You have to pay for comics somehow, right? But this is a book, a series, a run that I very much enjoy, and if you have not, then I absolutely recommend getting this.